What I'm going to do now is show you how to make a basic ganache. A ganache is a mixture made from melted chocolate and boiled cream. The first type of ganache I'm going to show you is quite a firm textured ganache of a ratio of 1 cream to 4 chocolate. The chocolate I'm going to use for this one is from the tank, which is pre-tempered. So if I take 400 grams of the chocolate into the bowl, and when we scale that off, and then to that then, I'm going to add the 100 grams of cream. I'm going to take the cream now and I'm going to heat it up in the microwave. I don't particularly want it to boil. I'm going to take it to around about 80 degrees Celsius. The microwave itself, I've got the setting on high. And away it goes. The cream that I'm using in the ganache is a UHT cream, which has been sterilised. Personally, I think it's as wise to use a good sterilised cream opposed to a normal dairy cream, because we know that this is much more cleaner and less problems with bacterial contamination. This will also give you a better shelf life of your product. Check the microwave constantly to ensure that the cream doesn't overheat. And then, taking a stem blender, I'm going to emulsify the cream into the chocolate. I personally prefer the stem blender because I think you get much more of a smoother cream itself. So the cream goes onto the chocolate. Stand back a little. And away you go. As you can see, you're getting a lovely shine to the ganache. And a good emulsification. To finish the ganache, all you need to do then is just take your spatula and bring the mixture all together in the bowl. And you finish it with a lovely, shiny, glossy mix. If you don't have chocolate ready tempered on tap, I'm going to show you a second method now of making a ganache. The ratios of this ganache is 1 part cream to 1 part chocolate. Much more of a creamier type of ganache. I've got callets for this one, so it's going to be a method that is going to be used directly onto the callets. Now, not forgetting that the callets are pre-crystallised, so I don't want to take that pre-crystallisation out of them. I'm working with equal quantities, so the first thing I'm going to do is take 300 grams of UHT cream again, which I'm scaling off on the scales.
Can't see the scales at all.
Right, so we take the cream now, and I'm going to use an induction hob now to heat the cream up. The temperature I'm going to take the cream to is 80 degrees Celsius. Once again, I don't want to boil the cream, otherwise I can take away the properties of the pre-crystallization from the chocolate. Stay with the cream. Make sure it doesn't burn, because obviously it is a liquid that sometimes can catch very easily on the bottom of a pan. The type of pan I'm using for this is a non-stick pan. You can see the cream now is just starting to bubble. So what I do now, I'm going to take the cream off the induction hob. We take the callets of chocolate, same as before. Pour the heated cream onto the callets, taking the stand blender, tilting the bowl, And once again, we're emulsifying down. If you find that the calottes haven't fully dissolved down, a little tip is to take the mixture, place it into a microwave, leave it in the microwave for a couple of seconds, bearing in mind not to overheat it at all. Bringing it out, back onto the tabletop again, and then we stem blend it back down. And as you can see, you've got a thinner, creamier, shinier mixture that's nice and smooth and well amalgamated. Let's look at the thicker ganache first of all then. This ganache is probably ideally suited for piping where we need to shape afterwards, such as a truffle, or it could be used as a praline base. The second ganache, which is much thinner, would at this stage now be required to chill it down in a fridge to slightly thicken it slightly and then use it to pipe into actual praline moulds. Flavourings. Let's look back at the flavouring section that we did. We could add alcohols to these, we could put essential oils into them, we could put the fruit purees into them, all to give them a characteristic taste and flavour. We could also add substances like the sorbitol, which would give it extended shelf life. We could beat into it softened butter, which would replace some of the water contents, which once again would give it a longer shelf life, but also it would enrich it, make it taste nicer. So there's lots of things we can do now with these basic mixtures. The third ganache I'm going to show you is completely different to the other two. This ganache is based around a fruit puree base. The fruit I'm using today is going to be passion fruit. The chocolate I'm going to be using, white couverture. This particular ganache is a real fruity, refreshing type of confection that should complement the other chocolates that you've made. What I've done with the chocolate first of all, I've got 2 parts chocolate to 1 part puree. And I've partially melted down the white chocolate. I've done this purposely so that the puree emulsifies into the mixture a lot quicker, but I've also ensured I've not taken away those tempering properties away from the chocolate by only partially melting it. So if you move over to the stove then, and we put the puree on, I'm going to bring it almost to the boil like we did last time, 80 degrees Celsius. And then what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to put passoa into it, which is a passion fruit liqueur. So once again, we've got the citrus, the refreshing flavour of the passion fruit, and then we've got the little hit at the end of the alcohol. I'm working with a 500 gram mix with 20 grams of passoa. And once again, when you start working with these ganaches, you can experiment and probably use your own ideas of putting different types of things into them. So then, if we take the fruit puree, and if we just add that onto the chocolate. Once again, I'm using a stem blender to emulsify. And you can get the smell of the fruit coming up from the ganache. And now I'm just going to add the passoa to it. And you can see the lovely colour it gives. And once again, continuing the stem blending process. Out with the stem blender, and then, like we did before, finish it off, bringing it all together with your spatula. And as you can see, it's quite liquid, but once it's been refrigerated down and the chocolate starts to work, it'll set it up, and this will be fantastic for piping into chocolate shells.